Total Drive is an award-winning driving instructor app for independents, multi-schools, pupils and parents. The app includes a powerful diary, free lesson reminders, progress records, reflective logs and more. Total Drive is proven to help instructors earn more, work smarter and improve pupil pass rates. If you're a driving instructor, you need to try Total Drive by starting your completely free 30-day trial at www.totaldrive.co.uk.
Morning, everybody. Just have a seat wherever you are, or stand up wherever you are. Yeah, sorry, we're running out of seats. I could put one there. Good morning, everybody. My name's Fiona Taylor. Some of you already know me. Yeah, just chuck it on the floor. Just chuck it on the floor. I don't want to do too much spiel about who I am and what I've done. I've been an ADI for a while. I am passionate about what we can do as an industry to change the aspects of how we teach. And that's all I want to do. So I just want to share something with you guys today. If you do have any questions, I've got a stand around the corner if anyone wants to come and ask me anything afterwards. Can I have a couple of volunteers? A couple of willing volunteers. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's standing room only. Just put your arms through the hanger and you can kind of rest. And I need 2 volunteers. Seriously, guys. I need 2. Come on. Excellent. A couple of volunteers. 2 of you because it's less intimidating if there's more than one. So come on, someone else. Please volunteer. Andrew, thank you so much. What's your name, sir? Thomas. Oh, Thomas. It's Thomas from yesterday. I know it's Thomas as well. Sorry, I'm standing here. Don't do anything with your paper, guys. Hold your paper. If you stand over there, Andrew, that's just going to be a bit easier. And I don't know. I don't know if you can be seen. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to train you, because I've been doing it this way for years. I'm going to train you to screw up that piece of paper and get it in the bin without touching the sides. First go, 1 movement, okay? But you have to do what I say. Don't worry about them. They're not looking at you. Don't worry about them at all. Just, is anyone worried about them? I am worried. No, don't worry about them. I've been doing this for years. I know exactly what I'm doing. All I need you to do to get your piece of paper screwed up is put your hand, don't do it yet. Andrew, don't do it yet. This is dangerous, you know. There could be paper cuts. So before I start, I'm going to be doing... I'm going to do a couple of blind spot checks because you don't want anyone getting paper cuts. Then top hand over and I shall grab the bottom right hand piece of paper and I shall hold that with this hand but twist it round slightly. Then, don't do it yet, guys, don't do it yet. I'm just explaining it. It's just a briefing.
Sorry.
So, whatever hand this is, right hand over the top. And hold your piece of paper. It's really quite simple. For some reason I'm making it quite awkward. And then this hand over this side. All I want you to do is pull slightly to make the paper tense, and then you can go straight into one piece of paper and then you'll be able to throw it into the bin without doing any other movement. Okay, do you want another demo? Want another demo?
Yes.
Okay, it's really simple. It's just a piece of paper. Well, I can get a fresh one out if you like. So it's right hand over the top, grab the bottom piece of paper, twist this one over the top so you're in this position. All you need to do is twist and then you can throw it straight in, nearly into the bin. But you need it to get into the bin without touching the sides, of course. No. You can't do it when I'm not ready. Tell you what, I'll give you another piece of paper. Another piece of paper. Because I wasn't watching. And I think you missed your blind spots for your paper cuts, Andrew. So have another go. Do you want another piece of paper? No. So why did you do it without me asking you to do it? What if it wasn't safe, Andrew, with the paper cuts? So why did you do it? Why did you do yours, Thomas, without me asking?
Well, you said to do that, you just hadn't told me to throw it in the bin.
Can you see the problem, guys? Why did you do that? How do you think these guys are feeling? Did you notice the facial expressions? Why questions? What do you think? Are they useful? Guys, I dare you to screw up your piece of paper and put it in the bin. Try throwing it from a distance.
I've known you a long time, my dad would do it.
No. But have you ever screwed up a piece of paper before? Kind of questions. Can you see why the DVSA and the powers that be, if you think about us as trainers, we need to change how we're doing it. I was trained a long time ago, and a lot of you were trained a long time ago, before the DVSA did their changes and brought in our standards check. And it was a briefing, it was a full-on put you this over there and then do this and that, and it was confusing. The DVSA have changed things a bit. Thank you, guys. Thomas, are you feeling really bad? I'm looking forward to... Go on, I dare you to just screw it up your way. Screw it up your way and put it in the bin. On principle, on principle. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Andrew. I think you can see the principle of what I'm getting at. Isn't it just have a go? Isn't it just I would need to take care of what's going on? The thing about behaviour and asking why questions, what did you notice about their behaviour? They were on edge, and they became withdrawn, and even when I said to Andrew, I invited him to screw up the piece of paper, he was just like, no, I've got to do it your way. And this is what we do. We make this hierarchical thing in the car, but I don't think I don't believe it's the safest or the best way to really get the most out of who's sitting next to us in the car. Have you got any ideas? I mean, does it matter? Did you notice, or did I give that the wrong pieces of paper? I had reference points on. So it was a couple of P's for where you're going to put your hand. Do you need that? Or is it just screw it up, get it in? And if you don't screw it up enough, get another piece of paper, screw it up again and put it in the bin. And it's literally, we have these things that work. Yes, you can screw a piece of paper up if you twist your hands and do all this weird stuff, but do we need that? I'm passionate about how we can change and we can get the most out of the person sitting next to us. So one of the things I've done, obviously I know everyone knows about the car and diagram sets, but it's a joy to be able to pass that over and say, explain to me how you would do that. Does it matter how you screw a piece of paper up as long as it ends up in the bin? Does it matter how someone starts to reverse into a bay or go forwards into a bay, as long as they don't hit anything? And talking about random things like paper cuts and blind spots to someone who hasn't really even had a go yet, could it come a little bit later? So when we think about behaviour, does it matter? I'm just wondering, does it matter how we approach the person? Does it matter how we engage with that person? And I think it does. I think we really need to use them as our best tool. They've been thinking about these behavioural change things. For example, we want to get in our car with our drivers and we want someone to think about their choice of speed. Maybe we've done a really good kind of character assessment, if you like. But is there any point of saying to somebody, don't speed in your future? You know it's going to be dangerous. Don't ever speed. Will it work? Why do people need to do blind spot checks? How can we have that conversation with somebody who says, but I think I'm ready for my test? And we go, and we're uncomfortable because you are the experts. You honestly do know what you're doing. The thing is, they haven't got the same expertise level as you. They need some information, and this is what the Endors course is, and anything else to do with, I've just got a list. Sorry, guys. Anyone who's done a Slimming World kind of thing, any kind of eating plan, criminology, rehabilitation, all the Endors courses, they've been studying behavioural change or behavioural science for 20, 30 years. And they know that you can't just shock people into change. You have to see it from their point of view, and that is the trick. It isn't easy, and you cannot stop somebody being a thrill taker, a risk taker, but you can get them to start the process. I now have thought about, I might be tempted to take risks when my mates are in the car. But how do you go about it? And it isn't an easy fix, and I don't have an easy fix, but let's just go back to somebody is sitting next to you and they say, yeah, but I want to take my test. I reckon I can make it, blah, blah. How do you have that conversation where you keep it equal and you're having a conversation with another young adult or even a mature adult? How do you have a conversation with them about how they can do it? And there are some ideas, and seeing as it is a workshop, but let's just say that person, and you can say, would you mind if you do a little mind map? Most people will go for it if you say, we just need to exchange information, because I understand it from your point of view, but I wonder, have you thought about this from my perspective? Mind map. And it's, call it whatever you want and engage them, and it could be, am I ready? So if you think about it, am I ready for my driving test? You've got your information, they've got theirs. What do you think you need to be ready? Shout out some things for me. What do you need to be able to do to pass your test?
Confidence.
Ooh, confidence.
Ability.
Ability. Ability in what? So what are we talking about? Ability to be able to do what?
To control the car.
Right, control the car in what ways? Yeah. Breaking it down into smaller stages. I totally get, so to drive, but let's go for bigger picture. In order to drive a car, what do you need to be able to control? Clutch. Excellent. Clutch control. Anything else? Yep. Clutch, brake. Oops.
Decision making.
Decisions. So that would be decisions at junctions?
Yeah.
Where else?
Everywhere.
Any kind of junctions?
Parking.
Yeah. Parking. Roadworks.
Yeah.
You can see how this is. Sorry? Roundabouts. Roundabouts. All right. Yeah. Well, look, there we go.
Responding.
Meeting traffic, whatever you want to call it. I call it load about cars and you can't get through. Do you need to know left turns, right turns, when to do your mirrors? How much, when you start to do this and you really, how many little legs am I going to have up here with legs off, legs off, legs? When you really look at that form, it's a vast form about when to do it. So when someone, I can't believe you guys haven't said mirrors. How big is the subject of mirrors? That wasn't bad. How big is the subject of mirrors? Before, which, where, when? It's a massive subject. Now then, once they've looked at that and you've got everything down that you can either, all of you possibly think of, what if you get them to scale everything? So mirrors. So give me some breakdowns. When do people need to do their mirrors?
Before a signal.
Good. So before a signal. Before slowing. Yeah. So speeding up as well. Can you see how even that subject you've got, so you need a bigger piece of paper. But then for them, so make sure if you know they've got some gaps, make sure you write that down or get them to write it down. Is it okay if I suggest a few things? Right then, when you've been going out with me recently, how have your signals been? Have I had to mention anything? Have you been aware of when you're doing it, when you're not? Okay, I'd like you to scale it out. 10 being nail it every single time. Don't even think about it. You don't even have to plan it. You don't have to think about me moaning at you either. What do you think is going to happen? You're not going to get 10s. You're going to get lots of 7s, and you might get a 5 here and there. And decisions, you know, it depends. Is it busy or is it that roundabout I hate? Which is all, they're all things that person. But what about when you've scaled everything on there? What information does that driver have about themselves then?
Ready for their test.
And if they're,
Just like themselves.
And can you sort that out? Who has to do the sorting out before the test?
But I'll do it on my test.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That makes it better when people, they realise how difficult things can be and how far down an ounce you need to make progress.
This was the idea of getting ready for test. You know, when they sit there and they say, yeah, I just want to give it a go. And then you say, how does that look to someone who's sitting next to you, assessing your ability to drive a car safely forever?
So similar to that, though, what I use, I'll give my, because obviously I'm only a paediatric, but what I do, because I'm keen, you'll say, but I'll get them to read the DT1. Like the examiner's guidance, I say to them, read
Absolutely brilliant for some people.
it, because if you're not going to read
If the
it, then you're
DT1
going to do a test.
If the DT1 was inaudible, I'd be with you the whole way. Because it's reading it. I struggle a little bit. So, but this is the diversity that we're talking about. This won't work for everybody. This will not work for everybody. But this is why everyone has their colleagues in and you say, well, can you give my person a mock test? There are loads of ways, but this person needs to understand that. What does that do when you literally sit with someone and they can look at what they're doing well and what they need to work on? That is something, it takes time. It takes time, and so does any kind of behavioural change. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Isn't this part of the progress cards that we use on our driving lessons anyway, so that I have an idea whether they're ready for the test by using a progress card?
Has anyone else had the experience of a progress card where someone's totally nailed something? For example, a manoeuvre. Totally nailed it. 3 weeks later? Can't do it.
Yeah, but then you might be down on the progress card that they can't do it and then focus on the next time.
If that's your preference.
Summarising it though, isn't it? Doing that is summarising the whole experience.
But this is what a person needs to do. They need to see me as a whole. I haven't actually thought about it that way. What they're thinking of is this ethereal thing called a driving assessment. They know they've got to wait. At the moment, they've got to wait months and months and months before they get the next one. This is about you guys using your skills to get better at what you do. If you think about something like, and I know at least one other person here delivers the indoors courses, like speed awareness or people who've had a crash, or fleet training. When you get in a vehicle with somebody who drives a lorry for a living, if you say, please don't speed, they go, right, and what do they do for the next 3 hours that you're in the car with them? There's no speeding. But have you changed their behaviour? Does it work if you say, don't do this, don't do that? You have to do it your way, or your way and their way. Because then you're comfortable with your way, and they get the benefit. There's all sorts of little games you can play. I say games, now please don't think of it as I'm trivialising. But the thing is, I've had someone in the car, I remember him because he was a delivery driver. As you can tell, a delivery driver has to get from one place to the next in an instant. And when traffic jams happen and there's diversions and all the rest of the things that happen, what's the temptation for a delivery driver? They have to get there, they're going to speed. So you have to give them evidence. This is about evidence. When you deliver a speed awareness course, you give people evidence and you say, it's up to you what you do with the information, guys. We're just here to deliver some evidence for you to take a look at and do with whatever you wish. Give people evidence so that they can make informed decisions. And that's what we all want to do. We as adults want evidence to support us when we go for our standards check. And everybody does it differently. And the examiners don't mind that. People out there want variety in what they do, and so do we. As driving instructors, go to the trainer that suits you best. And if the one that you went to before didn't sort of tick your boxes, go to another one. But the indoors course is now sitting in the car, and it was a young delivery driver who'd had a crash and was put on a diversionary course by the police. So we're sitting together and he said, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to do it now, but after this, and when I go back to work, I will be speeding because it's the job. And I said, fantastically honest. I love that. thank you for that, because it means we can start and I don't have to pretend, and we don't have to do any pretense. And I said, can I have a little challenge, if you prefer the word challenge rather than a little game? Challenge. A little challenge for you. We're going to drive the same route and we'll time it. Full licence holder, so I could use a handheld device, by the way. And I timed it. And I said, right, we're starting from this parking bay. We're going to go out and we're going to do a 5-10 mile route. You choose the route, but make it interesting. So have lots of junctions in it. And I'd like you to do it two ways. First way, drive to the limit. So drive efficiently, do not speed, I said. Because otherwise you'd be on another course. But drive efficiently, get round that route as efficiently as you can. Version number 2, whichever way round you do it, do the same route, come back to the same space, and I'll turn the stopwatch off, 5 miles below the speed limit. Which one was faster? Which route was faster? 5 miles below. What was the difference? Yeah, but he didn't know it. I just gave him some evidence. And he said, if we hadn't have done that, I would never have believed you. What was the difference? What had he got himself? Evidence. So, and this is the thing, you need to supply evidence. And in a tiny little workshop, obviously I don't have the time to get all of the joy out of our job that we can get back. But you can get evidence from new drivers. Just because they're new drivers doesn't mean they haven't got resources and information and all the rest of it. There are reasons our check test changed to the standards check. And I am fully in support of that. I was trained old school. Do this, do this, do that. I'd like you to do a turn in the road, put the clutch down, put it into first, set the gas, find the biting point. I would like you to do some mirror checks, starting with the left ones and then end up with the blind spot check, then release the handbrake, and I'd like to use clutch control, easing the clutch up on the brow there, blah, blah, blah. Who remembers that? It's like weird ways of folding things, and I'm sorry, you've probably gathered, I'm not a fan of reference points. I'm not a fan of reference points, but if I'm looking up, because I don't know who you guys are, I have no objection to people using reference points, if that's what you prefer. But that person sitting there needs a reference point for reversing into their own driveway. Or the garage, if some mate's going to come round and fix something under the bonnet for them. They need to be able to reverse a vehicle safely. What's the time? 27? 37. In summary, guys, well, I'm not going to ask you if you've got any question, but in summary, can you see what I'm getting at? We need to get evidence. We need to help them find evidence. I'm just going to have a look at my notes, because I haven't used them at all. No, I can't see a thing. Tried.
Where's the evidence?
Well, evidence is that I've got the glasses on. Attitudes and beliefs. You can't just say, you know, well, they get in the car, don't they? They literally get in the car. And we have to say the benefits. What are the benefits of you understanding this? And at the very least, it's, well, I know what to work on. I've got to think about my mirrors when I'm changing up. I've got to think about my decision-making at the one I told you was uncomfortable about. Well, tell me more. What's the evidence? You're telling me, you're saying you're uncomfortable at that particular junction. Well, tell me more about that. Let them tell you. I said to Andrew and Thomas, don't be nervous, guys. They're not looking at you. What were you all doing? And I brought it up. So they were probably fine.
I wasn't nervous. You told me to be nervous.
But that's the principle. But this is what we do. I remember saying to my drivers, we're going to go and do some really difficult roundabouts today. What have I just done? I've just sabotaged everything. Sabotaged everything. I scaled. This woman had severe anxiety. She had a kind of driving Tourette's. So you could tell how scared she was because the swear words would just get worse. And she didn't swear normally. It was only when she was driving. And I thought it was roundabouts, including we've got a satellite roundabout in Colchester. You know, you've got a main roundabout and then 5 little satellite ones around it. I thought it would be that. I made assumptions about her. I needed the evidence from her. Well, what is it that makes you nervous? Do you know what it was? Because I got her to scale as she was driving. Even before she turned the engine on, she was at a 7. When I got to start driving, I said, just every now and then I'm going to ask you what your number is. So I was looking at her body language and I could tell when she was getting more and more tense. The thing that was a 10 for her was approaching traffic lights that she could anticipate were about to start changing. So I let her say 10 and I said, brilliant, we'll talk about this in a minute. Try and just focus on what you're doing. So I postponed when she was going to think about it. Does that make sense? So you can't say, calm down, because that just winds people up. It's like saying, don't be nervous. When we pulled over, I said, tell me more. Why was it 10 coming up to roundabouts that were about to go green? Well, they wouldn't even change into red. They were about to go green. I don't know if I need second gear or first gear. I don't know if I need to put my handbrake on. I don't know if there's anyone else behind me, blah, blah, blah. And she was da, da, da. So we went through, I said, well, how can you help yourself with that? And she said, well, if I know what my options are, I suppose it'd be easier. It really helped her that she was allowed to name things and choose things. She had her own evidence. When did she not feel? So, you know, she was at a 7 when she was just about to drive a car and the engine wasn't even on. The roundabout was satellite roundabouts was exactly the same number. It was a 7. She wasn't fazed by that at all. She grew up, lived literally half a mile away from it. There was no problem for her with that roundabout. Does it make sense? So we judge things. We judge people and we say, I'll help you out with that. But it's taken the Endall's kind of courses years to work out how to get people to change their behaviour. Honest question, can any of you not make me not eat cake this evening?
I ain't that brave.
Not without duct tape, is that what you said? But it's true. Nobody does anything unless they have evidence to want to do something like change. Scary tactics doesn't work. They no longer use gory videos in speed awareness courses. Worse you get, I'm going to look at you, Dave, because I know you do it. I've got a colleague who delivers similar courses to me, same course. They do cardboard boxes. That's the worst image you get. So it's all about imagination. And the only time a vehicle impacts anything, it's a cardboard box. Imagination, because it's that person's story in their head. It's their children. Bless you, bless you. It's their children that you're thinking about that are making the pictures. Which ones give them the most powerful evidence? Are there any questions? One second. Sorry, Ange.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about the old ways, you know, teaching that's how you were taught the old ways, and now you're thinking about coaching client-centered the new way. But when you look at the driving test centres throughout the UK, that has been the same since the old way to the new way. So what does that tell us? Does that tell us that client-centered was still the same as the old way? Because the test centre, the evidence at the end of it, people passing the test, that hasn't moved.
Would you? No, but when I passed my test, there were 3 questions at the end. There was no theory. There was no hazard perception. It was a different test. There was no reverse parallel parking.
I'm talking from year 2005 to 2022.
I haven't got any evidence to base. But would you agree? Would you agree that every single ADI is a master of their own car? How many ADIs do I meet that tell me, well, I don't do it like that during normal lessons. I only did it that way for my standards check. So I don't know. I think we can find evidence to suit our persuasion. And what I'm saying is, guys, you guys make a difference in your cars. Find ways to develop your skills so that you can get the most out of them. And I understand what you're saying about the data.
Can I just add to what you just asked?
Mm-hmm.
I know the old way and the new way. When I passed my driving test in 1991, years after, I was checking the mirrors and I didn't know why. I was never told.
There you go. Yeah.
Why. I was just told to do it. Whereas now we're asking, we're getting information from the pupil rather than.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I just throw a curveball? Because you brought up, Fiona, about like the three questions at the end. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of that versus the hazard perception and theory test, and I'll explain why. The hazard perception, a lot of them have to take that. They take a theory test before they even get in the car or whatever, or there may be an practical experience. My thing is, it's wash, rinse, repeat method that they use to actually get through it. Whereas when we did ours, you had to know your road signs and you had to know your highway code inside out and arse-way forward in order.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest? I learnt the road signs and nothing else. Didn't read the book. Don't do reading, which is why reading we'll do things. Yes, that's the one. Don't even know what it's called. But this is how different we are. And this is what we need to exploit when we're sitting with people. Do you like reading? No, hate it. Don't read anything then. We'll find another way. You help me find your way. But I
do think we all need to go to TSO.
I think it's, yeah, I can see people are raring to go. If the time is up, guys, what I would like to say is thank you very much for your participation. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Andrew, for being uncomfortable enough. And it was uncomfortable. But do we do that to our learners? Because we are the experts. They know it. Have a go. Screw up a piece of paper. Get it in the bin. It's called bay parking. I don't know how many times I've screwed up over the years. That's why I use the piece of paper thing. Do you see what I mean? Doesn't matter. Don't crash. Come out, go back in. Screw up your piece of paper however you want. And she had a question.
I was going to say about the diagram and the mind mapping and stuff. At what point would you suggest you start doing this? Because all we ever read about on Facebook forums and stuff like that is that my instructor just told me the week before my test I'm not ready.
I think that's vital. I think earlier.
Yeah.
Because people need this is the thing about information, isn't it? This is the thing about information. Allow people to source their own information. Because we find ways that we like and ways we didn't. When I did my learning a long time ago, I can remember 2 lessons, one of which I got myself too close behind a bus in St Albans, really uncomfortable. And the other lesson was when he was telling me to keep the curb in the, hang on. What's it called? It took me 10 years to find out what he was talking about. What do you call the little flappy window on a car? Quarter light. He said, keep the curb in the quarter light. What light? I was looking around for a light, and then he said that thing. I just remember him sitting there, and he said, do you understand me? And I thought, well, I don't want to look at a twit. Yes. That's what I said. But I remember it. Why do I remember it? Because I felt so uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable on St Albans High Street with everyone going round me, bibbing and tooting and all the rest of it. The only other lesson, he's talking about the quarter light. 10 years later, I stand in my kitchen at Wellcroft Close and my dad said, quarter light window. He was using a reference point I didn't understand. So how did I get round the corner if I didn't know what a quarter light was? Guys, how did I get round the corner? I just had a go. And then after years, I've figured this stuff out because I remember being uncomfortable. Something I might remember is standing here. But thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Total Drive is an award-winning driving instructor app for independents, multi-schools, pupils and parents. The app includes a powerful diary, free lesson reminders, progress records, reflective logs and more. Total Drive is proven to help instructors earn more, work smarter, and improve pupil pass rates. If you're a driving instructor, you need to try Total Drive by starting your completely free 30-day trial at www.totaldrive.co.uk. Total Drive is an award-winning driving instructor app for independents, multi-schools, pupils and parents. The app includes a powerful diary, free lesson reminders, progress records, reflective logs and more. Total Drive is proven to help instructors earn more, work smarter and improve pupil pass rates. If you're a driving instructor, you need to try Total Drive by starting your completely free 30-day trial at www.totaldrive.co.uk. Total Drive is an award-winning driving instructor app for independents, multi-schools, pupils and parents. The app includes a powerful diary, free lesson reminders, progress records, reflective logs and more. Total Drive is proven to help instructors earn more, work smarter and improve pupil pass rates. If you're a driving instructor, you need to try Total Drive by starting your completely free 30-day trial at www.totaldrive.co.uk.
Hello.
Lovely. Hello everybody, welcome. I'm Chris Benstead and I do theory training. At the beginning of COVID, my car lease came to an end. I was one of the lucky ones that didn't have to fight with everything there, and I decided not to get another one. So I'm a driving instructor without a car, and picked up a Ford Focus for 500 quid in lockdown. So my car situation went better than some people's. So I'm now specialising in theory. I do still go and get in other people's cars, and I'm really keen to help other instructors do what I do, because there's loads of work. I don't want that much. But so any questions about this afterwards, please get in touch. So my big question with the theory test is, how can you revise what you haven't learnt yet? People tend to work on a revision approach, so they use apps and such. But if you haven't learnt it, you haven't got the foundation knowledge to work from, makes it really difficult. So I always refer to the theory test as the poor second cousin of the practical test. I don't think instructors value it. I think when we come into the industry and we do our part one stuff, it's very often go and pass your part one, and then we'll start teaching you to be an instructor. So that information in part one should be really important. If you want to come around and find a seat, feel free. No worries, it's all good. So it's really under-supported, and as a business, it's a really untapped resource. There's very few people doing it. From my point of view, it's really good because I get sent lots of work when people are struggling, but it is there to be had. So reasons that people fail tends to be, from the people that I'm dealing with, they don't know how to actually study it. So they don't know what resources are available, but they also don't necessarily know how they learn best. They're used to classroom environments. So I spend quite a lot of time helping them learn how to learn. They lack the resources. They don't know what's available. And I was talking to the two ladies here. I know that when you're a PDI, we have the same issue. I'm sure Bob will back me up on that there's awesome resources out there. People always go, I didn't know you existed. And we're stood there shouting, jumping up and down, but it's not necessarily working. The same issue happens with the theory. And they're not always the best resources that they find. They're the ones that shout loudest. They don't put the effort in. We have to accept is a thing. But sometimes that's because of other reasons. They've got a gap in their knowledge, so the questions aren't making sense to them. There's a lack of understanding or poor comprehension. And they're my two big reasons that people fail multiple times. And then they have additional needs. The majority of the people I'm working with, longer term, additional needs pupils. So trying to support those, we do it as best we can in the car. It tends to get forgotten about with the theory, because the more needs they have, the harder they are to work with the theory. And you feel you have to have the wheels moving, because we've got this kind of trend of that being part of it, not helped by the standards check and COVID. So the DVSA resources are on there. This presentation is going to be on this link, so if anybody, and it comes up again at the end, if anybody wants to take a picture, feel free. So I'm going to put the presentation on there, plus the links that are coming up, so you can get hold of them afterwards, or you can just get in touch and I'll send it to you. So the DVSA official sources are there for the L test. There's a couple of extra ones for part one. The ones that I recommend, I use Theory Test Pro. You have got Driving Test Success Anytime as well, which is a similar product, where as an instructor, you can see what's right and wrong in the people's questions and answers. What you can then do is see trends and see what's going on with them. So that works really well when you're doing the actual one-to-one training. That code there, affiliation scheme doesn't work at the moment, so that's the only code at the moment that will get you 10% discount, so feel free to use it. James May, I consult for James's app. You can come and see the videos on the DITC stand. James May's app is very much an individual study app, but it's got AI built in, so it's artificial intelligence. It helps them learn more effectively, as do the DVSA one doesn't. The Driving Test Success one does, and a few of the others as well, and Theory Test Pro too. So that means that they're not learning things that they, that they already know. They're learning the stuff that they don't. You can get a free copy. I've got app codes. Come and find me. Safe Driving for Life website. They are here. I slated it. I thought it was absolute rubbish. What I've discovered since is behind the paywall is really good. There's learning involved and some lovely broken down resources. So whereas before I would have said, it's a lot of money for what it is. It's still a lot of money, but it's well worth having a look at. And they are trying to get instructors a bit of free access so you can see what's going on, because I consult on that one alongside NASP, the DITC and NASP are on the panel for that one. And then the Theory Test Practice app, Annie is here. You can find her on TikTok all the time. And there's going to be a code link on the website as well to sign up to her course if anyone's looking for that. But say, go and find her. She's out there chatting away, as she does. And the 5 Minute Theory podcast from Terry Cook, awesome for audio learning, really worth a look. And all of those are the best way to start as a PDI as well if you're doing your part one.
Which one would you say was the best visually? Because I do a lot of deaf pupils.
Come and have a chat with me, because that's a conversation I had this morning. Yes, deaf pupils is really difficult, really difficult. I'd probably say none of them, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, come and we'll have a chat. Yeah. And me, I work on referrals, taking pupils from instructors. But I work with you, and I will happily dual brand anything that goes out there. So just to quickly cover the additional accommodations, I've just been bigging up Safe Driving for Life, just to let you know. You missed that bit. So the voiceover is available to everybody, but be aware the voice changes between clips. It's different to most of the apps and websites because you can play the question and the different answers separately. Worth your pupil knowing, otherwise they think it's not working because it's different. But also it's better because they can repeat the two answers that they might be working between, whereas on all of the other ones, I believe, you have to play the whole lot through again. The challenge for all instructors, go and do the theory test, but do it without reading it on the screen, just do it from audio. It's really difficult. So if you've got someone who can't read and is working from the audio, trying to process that in your head with some of the questions can be a real challenge. You can, with the right evidence, you can get extra time, you can get a separate room, even if it's just that they have anxiety or they're being distracted by things, though they are available, so it's always worth asking. If you've got a pupil without evidence, have a chat at the Theory Test Centre, because if the room's available, they're very happy to let you use it. You can get a reader recorder, but they can't change any of the wording. They literally just read what's on the screen, but that is a human being sat there. Or kind of the holy grail, really, but really hard to get, is an OLM, an oral language modifier, which ironically makes words easier. They can change the phrasing. They can listen to what the pupil is saying to them and nudge them in that correct direction because they're getting their point across. And I think we've all had pupils like that what they struggle to find are the DVSA words. They also have diagrams, which is a real shame that we can't have them for everybody put on the screen with a question to make them make sense, as we will see. So they're really useful, but getting one is incredibly difficult because it's a very in-demand resource. The guys out there, disability driving instructors, have got some great information for all of that. They often refer the pupils across to me to have a chat because John's always really busy, but do get in touch with them. They've got some nice write-up resources as well, which will be available on DITC website. So there's one thing that I am yet to have a pupil who has been taught this out of all the ones that I've worked with on theory. Any ideas what's not being taught by driving instructors, including myself until I realised? We drive on the left, we overtake on the right, and we drive clockwise. It's not just roundabouts, it's also car parks. If you're going to a petrol station, you go in at the top, out at the bottom on the right, you go in at the bottom, out at the top on the left. If it's not that, it will be signposted as an exception. And we should always work to the rules before we work to the exceptions, which is why roundabouts are so challenging, because there's more exceptions than rules. We show them, they figure it out. You know, they're not out there driving on the right, hopefully, but it's a rule, and it's the foundations of what we're doing. I'm a big Lego fan. It's the building bricks of what we do. So try bringing that in at the beginning, and the theory, particularly, it really helps with. When it's situational on the road, they work it out. You know, I'm not saying otherwise, but with the theory, that's where a lot of the challenges come from, because they get a word-based question that they don't understand. So as I said, teach the rule, then teach the exception. Don't start with exceptions, and we'll see a couple of those in a moment. So I had 45 minutes yesterday, so I'm just keeping an eye on the watch. So the thing I hear most is I failed by 1 mark. Does everyone come across that? Yeah. Rubbish. I'm on camera, I'm being polite. So you failed by 8, which is 16%, and if you're going to say it's I failed by 1, I'm going to say that you failed by 20%. It's really misleading. And it's not their fault, it's just the way it works. My 11-year-old did the theory test, and he got 30 out of 50. And no revision, no learning. Been brought up by a driving instructor, but 2 weeks ago he asked me what the flashing amber lights were. So I clearly haven't done that good a job. He can drive a car, because we do under 17s. He started at 3.5. Couldn't reach the pedals. So comprehension and understanding are the 2 keys. Making sure that they understand the process is as important as understanding the questions. So technical words. Words that come up in the question. Who has used the word douse in the last 20 years, except for Bob? Because I can imagine that you do. I have. Yes. So I just felt, yes. But apart from Bob, douse, gradient, it's a hill. Why can't we call it a hill? Junction's one that comes up a lot. And I've had this with pupils when I've been out in the car doing the practical. We've been hours in, and they're driving really well, and then they go, what is this junction that you keep talking about? They don't understand the definition of it. So get a glossary going. So they get that it's where 2 or more roads meet, and that then makes sense to them. But we're using words that, because they make sense to us, because we're in an industry, and we were talking the other day about the fact that, and we've added to it with the DITC, the alphabeti spaghetti that we love to use with the DIA, the MSA, the DVSA, the DVLA, and all the rest. It's really complicated when you're coming into an industry that you don't understand. And we use it to keep out the outsiders, and we shouldn't be doing that. You know, if you call it I can't even say it, if you call it a 3-point turn, if anyone wants to know about 1-point turns from Holland, awesome story, come and find me. If you call it a 3-point turn, you get a hush noise go across the room in a group of driving instructors. Oil versus fuel comes up a lot. I thought it was obvious, and that's always when I realise that I'm wrong. They mix that one up, so that's where they get the answer wrong. Contraflow, if it's not very dyslexic friendly, or maybe it's very dyslexic friendly, there's the word arrow nearly in there, and the contraflow signs always have the arrow on them, so that can help just to kind of trigger their memory. But it doesn't help that there's 2 types of contraflow. We've got the bus contraflows, and then we've got the roadwork motorway ones. So we're talking about 2 things with the same name, and we wonder why they don't understand. And then anything that's got reduce, increase, min, max, I get confused with the question. So that one, I get people to double check. If it's got one of those words in, I get them to flag it and come back to it, because it's nearly always going to be wrong when they've overthought the question. With the understanding, always start with signs, because that's the language of the road. Then moving on to lines, breaking them down. I know you'll probably see Annie stood out there going like this lots today. She's talking about the signs, we'll come to in a second, but the warning sign, you can make a W out of it, which works really well. So Starting with signs is about starting with language. Starting with the definitions is about starting with language, and then they'll understand the questions, which are written in DVSA language. So the other bits on there are very general, but they're the things that come up. So in my hotel room, this sign was next to the bed, because it's a picture of a bed. Everybody in the room sees it as a car, because we've been trained to. There's no reason that you should see that as a car. It's just a black squiggle. It doesn't look like a car until you've been told it does. Our brain's really good at looking at patterns, and we see that and we see a car. So if that is a bed, what does that mean?
No other big or bad.
We don't know what we don't know. So until we've been trained to know that it's that sign and put it in context, we shouldn't assume that other people see it the same way. The other really good one is getting the tourist information sign of the train and turning it upside down. It looks like people at a picnic table, but one of them hasn't got any legs. So when I'm covering signs, shape, colour, picture, it's very easy for them to look at that and try and answer that as a question. I get really stroppy and don't let them. Even though they've got it right, we go back to the beginning because we know that the questions on the test are not going to be the questions in the revision. Well, signs kind of match. Starting with a shape limits things. Oh, sorry, I was going to mention these. I was going to do a lovely thing with left-handed scissors and get someone to cut something out, but I bought the only left-handed scissors that anyone can use. So, yes. But if anyone's tried to use left-handed scissors, they're normally a nightmare. Who's played Guess Who? Yes? I love it. Great game. What's the first question that you ask? Yeah? Yeah. Because you halve what's in there. If you start with which sign is this, you're literally going through from Bernard to, it's the only one I could ever remember, I don't think he's on here now, to Ben, to Olivia. By doing shape first, you have limited the playing field. It's a circle, it's a triangle. Then go to the colour and you've limited it further, mainly with the order signs. And then go to the picture and try and figure it out because you've limited down where those options are. There's a big driving instructor thing about the fact it's not a triangle, not an arrow, it's a triangle. It's an arrow as well. They're ahead, it's pointing up. We then have give way, which is pointing down. Give ways here, the other hazards are up ahead. It still makes sense. We say no because it doesn't suit us because it's not what we were told. Yeah. 14 years, I'm going to watch Bob on this one. I don't think I've told you this before, but I want to see whether you figured it out because you've been doing a little bit longer. 14 years to figure out that the give way sign contains 4 point down triangles. Yeah. I don't know whether I was really happy or really annoyed when I figured it out because I've never noticed it. I accept there's one in the A pointing the wrong way, but we're ignoring that because why let that get in the way of a good thing? So helping people remember that, you know, these are the things that should be in the learning because it's a lot of information to get to stick. If that helps, brilliant. I haven't got it on here, but I had an autistic pupil that I'm working with and we were looking at the ESP light on the dashboard, which confuses everybody because they're all warning lights, but that one warns that it's on, not that there's a fault. But actually, it's got the word on written in the picture, if you look carefully. I'll try and stick it on the page on the website so people can see it. But it's a bit like the FedEx lorries, the hidden arrow. If you haven't seen it, have a look. There's an arrow in the logo, which once you've seen it, you will never unsee it. So we'll have a look at some questions and see if you can answer them. What do you need to wear? Any answers? Anyone? Yeah, cool. It's a good answer. It's not a wrong answer. Yeah? Based on what we've got, something comfortable works. The lovely thing about the theory test is it's multiple choice. So we've got a woolly hat. We've got shorts. We've got bikinis. I have had someone turn up for a lesson in a bikini, forgot she had a lesson, said, please, can you pick me up? She'd been sunbathing. Yes. I think it was like my first month of teaching as well, so it ended off. And glasses. So which answer? Do you want to change your answer for one of the options?
Well, I need glasses to read, so I put glasses.
Okay. And in a room full of driving instructors, that's the driving related one, because the theory test is about driving, and we know that. That doesn't seem to sit with pupils. They pick it out of the whole wide world of everything. So making sure that they realise that every time it's driving related, come in it with your driving head on. And now that we're in a world where people are doing theory before they've even been in a car, at least it seems that way, they're doing that even less. So there's a lovely thing that the DVSA do. They give us extra information if it's not inside of there, the stuff that we need. So, is it snowing? I say look for the full stops. That full stop totally changes that question. So they are more important, and pupils have a habit for going for the question mark, not the full stop. They'll ignore anything that's got a full stop, because they're there to answer the questions. So, I'm going to keep picky on you. It's snowing. Which one do you want to go with? Yeah, so it's that information has suddenly pushed you. But we'll get rid of the shorts and the bikini. So sometimes you can get down to 2, not always, but if we can get down to those 2 possible answers, that can help. The lovely thing about the voiceover is you can then do these 2 answers separately, whereas on the revision packages you generally can't, although I know Theory Test Pro are working on that. That one kind of makes it all make sense. Are we going to go with the woolly hat? Going back to the glasses. So you were right in the first place, but that's the other thing that they do, is they talk themselves out of the right answer, because they try to use some inverse logic, and anyone who's ever worked with anyone who's autistic, it's awesome logic. I've never managed to argue any case against their answer, except for saying that's not the one they're looking for. Sounds like something out of Star Wars. So we're going to go with glasses. The tools that I use, I'll pop them all up, and then if anyone wants to get a picture, they can. Looking for the full stops. Magic words. Now, magic words are safe, careful, appropriate. Words that just point you in the right direction. It's not 100%. You get wrong answers with the word safe in. You do you. If it's letting anyone do anything or telling anyone to do anything, it's the wrong answer. It's a test for them and their safety. And the safest answer, that works so often, but they have to understand that level of safety. If you don't understand the situation, it doesn't work. Traffic lights, for anyone who's not sure. What's in the gap? Red and amber? Anything else? We're going with red and amber. Just checking. I've got to report back to the enforcement officers later, yeah. So, that's the answer I get the most. Red, amber, green, amber, red. I then show them an amber light and say, what are you going to do? Are you stopping or are you going? But I figured out why. Took me a while. The red light doesn't turn off. It's already on. So what comes after the red light? The amber one does. That makes absolute sense. So we've got that situation, but because the red was already on, amber is what comes next. So I came up with a solution, and when there isn't one that fits, you make one up. So we've got red and we've got green and we've got amber. We now have ramber. It works every time. You can come up with your own. If you speak to Johnny who's on the stand with me, he's got a slightly different version because he doesn't like ramber. I'm not precious about it. What we want to do is get the right answers coming through. I'm really interested in what anyone comes up with. But showing ramber as a different thing, red and amber doesn't work because you're using the 2 separate ones. So have a go with that. This is the rule, the exception being flashing amber, pelican crossing. The number. So, well, yeah. But because it's an exception, once they've got the rule, actually they find that easier because pelican crossings are different. And I go with pelican you go, ? Because it's got the choice. And then you have the puffing crossing with a G at the end deliberately in case anyone thinks I don't know what I'm talking about, because it detects them puffing their way across the road. But actually, you don't really need to know. You just need to know about the flashing amber. So some other ones that I've come across. What colour are indicators?
I don't know, on them new bloody Ford Pumas, they're
Each of those colours means something on the road. You know, we've got emergencies. Amber means proceed if it's safe, if it's flashing. It means stop if it's safe, if it's not. So they all mean something. They're all really important. Indicators are green. Sorry?
So his indicators are green.
My pupil. And he's right.
Look at the dash, it's a green
Oh,
light.
sorry, yeah. We put the indicators on. He's only ever sat in the car and turned them on. He got really stroppy with me, and I was thinking, well, one of us is being stupid. And I assume it's me. And he's right. But it's not the right. He didn't know left or right either. You're driving in busy traffic. You want to pull up after a junction on the left. When should you signal? I'll let you read them, but anyway. It's far more fun when you do. I get confused. I find it really difficult. That situational picture. We see it a bit like the sign. We see it the way that we think we're supposed to see it. It depends on if it's A or B. It doesn't tell you to turn, which would be you're turning left, would be in there, but the absence of it doesn't help. So this is where an OLM with a picture saying you're pulling up here would solve the problem, or a lovely diagram with the question for everybody so that even people like me could manage it. But that's where sometimes in the wording it causes a challenge. You're turning right at a crossroads, full stop. An oncoming driver is also turning right, full stop. What's the advantage of turning behind the oncoming vehicle? Now, firstly, I can't think of any junctions where I live, the wide area, where this is appropriate, which makes it challenging when I'm trying to teach it practically. And all of the other answers that are even slightly similar are about hold well back, let it happen, and then go, which in a smaller crossroads is probably the safest option. But the issue with this is the oncoming driver is also turning right. And if they don't know their lefts and rights, also means they're going the same way that you are, not they're going the opposite way because their right is your left. So trying to get people to unpick those questions is really challenging. And when you throw in left and right issues, it doesn't help. Go and see Diane Hall. So my top rules: pick the safest answer, know the words, get a glossary going for that individual. Just because it's an obvious word to us doesn't mean it is to them, especially when the road is well lit. But apparently my 11-year-old says I'm not allowed to do that. But he might be watching, you never know, that'll upset him. Look for full stops. Do not add anything to the question. So this is a PDI issue particularly. If there might be a motorbike coming from behind me. If it's not in the question, there isn't. Unless it's saying, what are you looking for? Then it would be in the answers. Looking for pairs really does work. I don't know if Annie's got her pairs with her, but she's got ones that you can squeeze. We said it wasn't a good idea to go on TikTok and wave your pairs around, but she's braver than I am. And then those are the bits with benefits, if anyone wants them. How are we doing? 3 minutes. I've got 3 minutes for a question if anyone's got anything, or any points that you want to add. I'm learning every day.
How do you do your theory training? Do you do it in a classroom situation?
I have done. The stuff that I'm doing at the moment is all one-to-one via Zoom. I've got people from the Isle of Skye all the way down to Devon at the moment. So yes, try if anyone knows an autism-friendly driving instructor that covers Skye, please shout, because yeah, well, it's a big ask. No one there anyway. But yes, it's all via Zoom. It's awesome. I'm happy to provide a Zoom lesson for any instructor who wants to give it a go. It's the most flexible thing. You've got whiteboards. You can share anything that you can see on your computer. You can share on there. It works brilliantly. You can create your own resources as well, and they're adding things every day. I keep going on there, and there's something new. So yeah, all via Zoom. But it works in classroom. You know, it works in the car. I think we've got this wheels moving approach, which tends to be. Sometimes we get judged by other instructors. We're our own worst enemy. That, you know, we've probably all done it, where we've commented, albeit to ourselves, about the person who's been sat there for an hour. Maybe they're doing a theory session with someone that needs it. So I think, you know, embracing this will make our lives easier on the practical stuff, because they'll understand it better. And especially with the waiting list as it is at the moment, you know, we need that theory in there before we can progress. So if you get someone who's struggling, you know, I charge for Zooms, but I'm regularly getting calls and just giving people advice on what's available. So, you know, please feel free to make use of it. The plan is to get some videos so that I don't have to keep saying it, but if anyone's got extra time, that'd be lovely. So thank you all very much. I'm out there. Please feel free to come and find me, and we'll put the world to rights. Thank you.
Total Drive is an award-winning driving instructor app for independents, multi-schools, pupils and parents. The app includes a powerful diary, free lesson reminders, progress records, reflective logs and more. Total Drive is proven to help instructors earn more, work smarter and improve pupil pass rates. If you're a driving instructor, you need to try Total Drive by starting your completely free 30-day trial at www.totaldrive.co.uk.